Good evening, everyone. It's been a while, hasn't it? Hello, friends. Nice to see you again. Welcome along to the next round of the TCR Europe Simracing Series. I forgot the name of it because it's been a while. Obviously, we had a missed round, but we will be redoing that round in a couple of almost days' time. I think next Monday is when we will next see you. And we are at a slightly later time as well to incorporate and allow our friends and our drivers who are participating not only in this, but also now in the very exciting real world, and therefore giving them a chance to get back home, get onto their sims, and also practice. So we've got 3 more races for you. We are delaying the Zolder round. So the Zolder round is now being moved to next Monday. We will finish in Barcelona, and tonight is Monza. Tonight's all about the slipstream. Very, very exciting. We'll see the qualifying session and then the 2 races. Remember, reverse grid in that second race. So my name is Ben Colson-Juris. I've been a friend of the TCR family since its very inception and commentated on various championships over the years. And so it's been great to be part of the Sim Racing Series. And much like you, I very much was saddened by the delay for the Zolder round, but it made sense because, of course, many of our drivers were simply not unavailable, and there's no point having a race without the drivers. But this is also serious. We remember we are racing 4 tyres. Every winner of each dual race, I would normally say weekend, but of course it's just an evening. So the best point scorer of every evening wins a couple of Yokohama tyres to put towards their TCR Europe season. And of course, we have also had a couple of new entrants into TCR Europe across the last couple of weeks. So maybe we'll see some new drivers into the championship, but certainly we may see some older names missing and also perhaps some drivers returning. For instance, last time out, we didn't see Tom Coronel, but he managed to make it back at this time. Right, so qualifying is underway, as you can see, and we are here at this Monza circuit. And let me try and get the live timing up, and I'll be able to tell you who's out there. We have, it looks to me like 15 drivers out on circuit, perhaps a little less when we take into account various camera cars that we have on there. There is Nicolas Bert, and he looks like he's following teammate at Come To You Racing, Gilles Magnus. So Gilles Magnus, the first car out onto circuit. And this will all be about slightly over-exuberant weaving there as he goes onto the grass, just about held on. But they probably will be working together here. I imagine the 2 drivers will be looking to try and get themselves a slipstream, because that's what Monza is all about, right? So teammates are going to be key, and slipstream is going to be key. On board with Nicolas Bert, hasn't really shown fantastically well in our races so far. Certainly in terms of the drivers that we've seen throughout Come To You Racing, he's probably been the weakest link. And I would say he's just that slightly bit too far away from Gilles Magnus to be getting a decent slipstream. Misses the apex just a little bit on the left-hand side there. but definitely is a little bit closer now to Magnus. And did I see Magnus just tapping the brake there as he exited the first chicane, perhaps to allow Bet to pick up a little bit of a slipstream? Of course, they will have the ability to talk to each other, if not on Discord, but also on TeamSpeak, so they'll be able to chat to each other and make sure they are helping each other out as much as possible. Remember, the championship is led by Daniel Nash, and Nash is with us this evening. Nash has been working very, very hard with Mato Homola, but I don't see Homola on track, so perhaps he's one of our drivers that's missing from this evening, which will be a bit of a shame. There is Daniel Nash, though, and of course, without the friends and his Hyundai teammates around him, he may struggle a little bit here in Monza. It's so much about the slipstream, almost even more than you would normally expect. A bit of passing going on just behind Daniel Nash. Takes plenty of curb on the left-hand side through Ascari, and probably, a lot of curb through the last part there. And the more you can straight line Ascari, the more speed you can carry through it, and therefore the faster you'll go. So teammates switch around. Nicolas Bert now ahead of Gilles Magnus, but Gilles Magnus is going to be producing a nice little slipstream for Daniel Nash, I reckon. Let's see what all these times are as we come across the line for the first time. I can see both the Claires, so that's good to see. So Bet over the line does a 56.1. Daniel Nash a 54.7 on his own. Davidovsky in second position, a 55.6. Ascronar a 55.8. And so actually, didn't really work out very well for our two Come To You Racing drivers. They have not produced very good laps at all. So it looks like, actually, for the moment, just 12, 13 drivers with us. Such is the priorities of the real world now. Watching Davidovsky in fourth position in the Honda. Teddy Claret has managed to get himself in third spot just ahead of him. Bench Boldish, second position, presumably without a slipstream because I don't see any friends around him. So good effort in the Cupra from the Hungarian. And it has really been all about Hungary in our series. They have dominated pretty much all of the races, to be honest. Niels Langeveld was a driver that we've seen at the top step of the podium, but I don't see him with us this evening. So all laps done, apart from Julien Brichet, Frenchman in the Peugeot. 16th spots, but without a lap time. Now, that might be that he's circulating, but ran over the curbs and perhaps lost the time due to track limits. So I think, yes, I've just seen a flash of all blue Peugeot come through the screen. So he is out there. He just didn't get that first lap registered. Mikael Ashkana. Now, yeah, look at how different they take that curb in comparison to Daniel Nash. Second lap's going to come over the line. I wonder whether this will have been kind of a collection lap, and we don't get a chance to see the split times on Assetto Corsa that we're using, the platform. Ashkana's got a good slipstream here from Lewis Kent. He may actually decide that he's just going to go down the inside of Lewis Kent here and not benefit at all. No, he goes into the pits. So he's going to do a reset, Ashkana, get a new set of tyres on and go again. Nash, Boldish, Davidovsky up to third, so it was an improvement from Davidovsky, but Jimmy Claret goes into third position. Teddy Claret drops to fifth, but in the pits. Luca Filippi in eighth position, then Al Khalifa ninth, Mora 10th, Magnus 11th, Brichet 12th, Lewis Kent 13th. Tom Coronel is supposed to be around. He's in our Discord, but apparently struggling to update Assetto Corsa. Why Assetto Corsa needs updating at such a late stage, I do not know, but looks like Tom is struggling to be with us this evening, which is a bit of a shame. He's actually been out in a TCR car quite recently, doing a 24-hour race. One of the first races that happened since lockdown was eased in Portimao in Portugal, and he went over there and raced, I think, for Come To You Racing. About 6 weeks for us to wait before TCR Europe gets back underway. Can't wait to be seeing the cars in Paul Ricard at the end of August. That's going to be a hot and sweaty affair. But still plenty of TCR sim racing action to come. And I hope that they do decide to run this as a winter series. Why not? Give a free entry for the winner or something into the real world series. Daniel Nash will be happy with that because he's basically taken pole in every single competition that we've had. He's had a win in every single competition that we've had. And he, at the moment, is a good 7-8 tenths of a second faster than his nearest rival with no slipstream. It's going to be a very different story come race to be able to have that advantage. It's going to be very difficult for him to kind of stretch that advantage. But all those cars that did not pit after one lap, now in the pits. Those that pitted after one lap back out onto circuit. Here's Ben Spoldish, which is the fastest man to not set a second lap. We saw Asconar as well. Bert, Filippi, they're all out on circuit. But Ben Spoldish with no slipstream. Look at Ashkina just in front, though, has a good old slipstream. So he will be seeing his time go into the negatives pretty quickly, I imagine. Now, which Claret is that that's in front of Ashkina? Difficult to tell, but certainly if that Peugeot doesn't slow him up, Ashkina will be happily increasing his grid position from 6th and row 3 right now. Here he is. Need to get my spotter's guide up, don't I? Which was very helpfully sent to me by... the question is, which Peugeot is that? Oh, it's quick on, so... Daniel Nash over the line. And that is him starting a lap, isn't it? Because we saw Nash go into the pits last time through. So over the line and back underway. Oldish 7 tenths behind him. Magnus getting up to 3rd. So good effort from Gilles on a lap that we did not see. Then Claret, Davidovsky, Teddy Claret, Bert, Ashkina and 8th. And of course, I was thinking it was all going to be good there, but obviously he got completely bulked by Mora. And Mora only in 11th position. And Mora is also over a second slower in qualifying than Ashkina. Strange to see Julien Brichet struggling a little bit in 13th position, slowest of our cars so far. 7 tenths of a second slower than Lewis Kent, who is not necessarily shown particularly well in this series. So a little bit concerning from Brichet. Perhaps has not been able to do the kind of testing that others have been able to do. We go back to Ben Spoldish, 2nd position. Can he improve his time? You can see on the right of his, just under his, under him, 7.5 tenths of a second off Daniel Nash. Unfortunately, though, Assetto Corsa doesn't do splits, so we have no idea how he's doing. Look how much curb he takes. Race control. If we had our race control and race stewards, they would be killing times and destroying laps left, right, and centre for that kind of curb abuse. But the thing is, you don't want to hit curbs normally there because the curbs will make you fly. So you don't really want to take the normal track because that's going to be the slowest route. If you hit the curbs, you're going to go flying. So might as well miss the curbs, hit the grass, and perhaps that'll be a better time. Right, Davidovsky up to 3rd position. Now, he has really been testing, hasn't he? That's a third spot. This is the best performance we've seen from a Honda and Davidovsky in this championship so far. Meanwhile, nobody anywhere near Daniel Nash. Gilles Magnus has got to within 4/10 of him. Bench Boldish a second back from Daniel Nash. And then Julien Claret and Teddy Claret. And Boldish coming back out from the pits. So, as you can see, outlap, it says, under his figurine on the right-hand side. Six minutes and 30 seconds remaining of qualifying. Magnus picking a lot of curb, and then a lot of curb again. But less than 3/10 away, and this is a lap, so this is a push. And can he get a little bit closer to Daniel Nash? Can he represent Audi? This would not really be an Audi track if we were in the real world. And it's interesting to see that nobody has decided that the slipstream is the way forward. Bails out of that lap, comes into the pits, resets, new tyres, back out onto track. We'll try again with less than 6 minutes remaining. Pole man for every single one of our races so far. And looks to be putting himself in the best possible position to pick up a couple more free tyres from Yokohama. Is he going to have to pay for any tyres at all this season? He's got so many wins already. I think he's won cumulatively. He's won every single round that we've had so far. He's missed out on a couple of race victories, but totally, I think he's managed to do a pretty good job of picking up the most points. Davidowski on an out lap, but flag is out for Mora already. He's picked up the flag. And here's Daniel Nash at the back. Bench Boldish is pushing, so we may see Boldish do a better lap time. Is Nash going to get held up here? Magnus goes up into second position, or stays in second position, I should say. Nash over the line. And no improvement from Daniel Nash. Bench Boldish up to second, so it was a better lap time from Boldish. And he's got himself a front row start just ahead of Daniel Nash. Gilles Magnus drops down into third position. We did see Davidowski starting a lap though. It's the end of qualifying for, well, interestingly, Daniel Nash seems to have not taken the checker flag. Not quite sure how that's worked out, but there are the two Hungarians run alongside each other. And the qualifying's over. Should have taken the flag. They came across the line after zero. But it's strange, that one. And, I need to activate my camera. Sorry about that. I'm back. Hello. I'm just going to pop up. Kind of. There we go. Hello. Sorry about that. A few issues going on over qualifying, but I am here. So yeah, curious. I'm not quite sure whether the live timing times or the times you were seeing on the screen there are correct. So not really sure what the grid's going to be. Either way, Bench Boldish pushed hard to be on the front row of the grid right at the end there. Daniel Nash on the pole, as we've seen throughout the whole of this season so far. And then it's a mystery who's going to be after that, because one of my timing screens says it will be Gilles Magnus and the other one says it will be Jimmy Clary. So no idea. Anyway, what we do know is Monza always provides great slipstreaming action. And I doubt that Daniel Nash is really going to have the ability to run away with things. I just can't see that being a possibility because the slipstream is so large. So let's see how we get on. We've got two races coming up for you. Remember top 10 in reverse. So was it top 12? Oh, God, I always get that wrong. Top 12, I think. We've only got 13 cars. That's going to put some very interesting characters on the front row of our second race grid. It's always a bit chaotic, that second race. We have seen Daniel Nash getting involved in a few accidents so far, and therefore not be able to take the double, although at the first round of the championship, he was very much able to take the double. Let's get the cars onto the grid. Let's get the racing underway and see exactly what happens. You'll see them pop up just in front of my head here in a few seconds as they start to grid. Basically, the process for the drivers is that they've now finished qualifying. So they go back into a lobby session. They get invited into the grid, and then we have a couple of minutes to wait while they decide to enter. Now, if they've gone to the toilet or gone to get themselves a coffee or a drink, then they know that they've got themselves 3 minutes, but the race can start as soon as the last person logs in. We just don't know when that's going to be. So we kind of are waiting for those 13 drivers to see exactly what happens. Meanwhile, I sit here and talk rubbish. Here's the qualification result then. This is clear, and this is the grid then. Daniel Nash, Bench Boldish, Gilles Magnus, Davidowski, Teddy Claret, Michael Ashkenat, Nicolas Bert, and Jimmy Claret, Luca Filippi, Mora, Kent, Al Khalifa, and Julian Brichet just did not get a lap. So Brichet stays down there at the bottom of the field, which is very curious. Obviously, he has not managed to get the practice in that he was hoping for. So we hope to see maybe next Monday at Zolder. Perhaps we'll see Brichet in a better position. But hopefully the different day as well, being a Monday rather than a Wednesday, might allow a couple of extra people to join the party, because we would like as many people to join us here as possible, and entertain us through our sim racing series. Just because COVID's like less of a thing now than it was a couple of months ago is no excuse not to go sim racing. Sim racing's cool. And sim racing is fun. And okay, Ben's Boldish is pretty hard to beat, but there's no reason not to do it. So I'm speaking to all of you drivers out there. Get involved. Come and join the party for the last couple of weeks. We've got Zolder and then Barcelona, and then we can focus. Then we still got a month before focusing on the real TCR series. There's plenty of time to prepare. Right, let's go racing. Let's stop me ranting and to get the cars on the grid. Oh, I can see a Tom Coronel at the back of the grid. That's good news. So hopefully Tom is going to be able to participate at a decent rate. You know, because there's one thing being there, there's another thing not being able to really run. So I'm just going to do that. The lights are on, illuminated, and we are running here at Monza. Long run down to the first corner. Daniel Nash has got this good start and is already trying to shake off the attention of Ben Boldish, who's sitting in the slipstream and goes to the outside line into the first corner. Gil Magnus on the inside, who is firing it down the inside. Somebody going very, very hot down the inside a bit further back there. Couldn't see exactly who it was. How many people got eliminated? I do not know, but it was one of the... I almost want to say it was Mora from further back. Teddy Clary under huge pressure from one of our Hyundais. And that must be Luca Filippi. So Luca Filippi's made up a good start, trying to get himself into the top 4 positions. Lots of people jumping over the curb. Mikel Ashkener managing to make up a few positions there by missing that chicane. And he's now onto the tail of Luca Filippi. Remember, we don't see any penalties during the race. We'll only see those penalties come out after the race. Oh, and somebody get fired into the wall. That was Al Khalifa being fired into the wall further back. So Al Khalifa is going to have heavy damage to his car for the rest of the race. We don't necessarily see that damage, but we will certainly he will certainly feel it. Gio Magnus fancies second position, fancies away past Ben Boldish, knows that he needs to get past now, and they run side by side. Boldish is in the wall, contact between the two of them. He gets fired into the wall as well, and Daniel Nash is saying, all of you guys are really helping me out here. Boldish is going to rejoin, but he is going to be, number one, a long way back, and number two, struggling, I think, a lot. Over the start finishing line to finish lap 1, and I was expecting this to be a slipstreamer for the lead, not for second position. We've got Teddy Clary now up ahead of Luca Filippi, who's trying to go down the inside. Luca Filippi's found himself a space down the inside. Oh, Clary is so fast and so late on the brakes. Gil Magnus is going to try and go around the outside of them now. Magnus right on the tail of Luca Filippi. Filippi's done a great job here. He's not as fast as the rest of them, but obviously has put in some decent practice and has found some pace to really participate here. Into the slipstream of Teddy Claret and the Peugeot, but also boxed in. Magnus looks to the inside. Oh, and I think there was contact. Pushes him sideways. Ashkener comes through. Ashkener now into third position. I wonder if anybody's going to finish this race without a penalty, because they're all being very much elbows out. The problem is, without driving stewards kind of penalising it, it's going to really become a bit of a bumper car race. And they will penalise it, but they'll penalise it at the end of the race. So we'll see someone like, I don't know, Al Khalifa end up in second position as everyone else gets 25-second penalties. Gil Magnus in the slipstream of Luca Filippi has the benefit of the speed, and he will have the inside line. Now, this is where he managed to bin Ben Boldish last time through. And Luca Filippi is sensible enough to fall into line behind. Now Filippi will have the slipstream. Filippi all over the place. And I think with Ashkener, both of them all over the curb. So Daniel Nash checking out at the lead. Then it's Teddy Claret in second position, Ashkina third, Gilles Magnus fourth, and Mora now up to fifth, ahead of Luca Filippi. How did that happen? Filippi very deep into the last turn. Davidovski also. Now those two will have the slipstream, and Mora is going to be the sitting duck here. Filippi not picking up the slipstream, too close. It looks as though they are 3 wide over the start-finishing line. Filippi on the outside line, but with the biggest advantage. Oh, what is going on now? Where's it gone? That was Mora, and he's disappeared completely. Presumably still ahead somewhere. There he is. He's appeared again. Massive, massive, scary, bum squeaky moment there from Mora. Julien Brichet now part of the party, with Davidovski ahead. Davidovski getting himself involved, and basically they're just having to survive all of this onslaught, all this contact. Late breaks for Nicolas Bert, who's ahead of all 3 of them. Bert just about holds on, but Davidovski manages to get a bit of momentum. Davidovski down the inside of Luca Filippi, just about manages to hold on there. I wonder how many of these grud matches will continue when we get into TCR Europe for real. Brichet didn't manage to qualify very well, but suddenly finds himself right in the middle of the pack here. Bert, Filippi, Davidovski, Brichet, and then Mora. All with a lot of contact. They would all have drive-through penalties if it was the real world, but unfortunately with race direction only taking place after the race, they'll all just get drive-through penalties after the race. But don't know how that's quite going to work. It's going to be a lot of work for our race director. Starting to settle down further ahead, though. Definitely feel like Gilles Magnus, Ashkenar and Teddy Claret are going to have a cleaner fight than these bandits. And Mora down the inside of Brichet then to take the position. That is why, as you can see, this is happening. The slipstream effect is so huge. Brichet pushing Mora along, trying not necessarily to pass him, but to work as a 2, perhaps for Mora to go into the back of Davidovski rather than Brichet. Bump drafting like you see in NASCAR. Back, by the way, the Audi R8, the Audi RS3 is actually a very good car around here, with Stefano Camini and Jean-Carl Venet winning in TCR International and TCR Europe, respectively, in 2017 and 18. Thank you to Phil Kinch, my loyal fact guide, who's making sure I'm up to date TCR-wise. TCR International has been at Monza both in 2015 and 2017, and Europe visited 18 and 19, and will be there. We will be here in 2020. Gilles Magnus to the outside of Ashkenar. Helicopter view. Can Gilles Magnus sweep all the way around the outside here? Be a brave move if he does, and he does manage it. So Ashkenar moves himself down a position. Magnus up to third, but the switchback move could work for the Cupra here. Got a better run out of Ascari, and now they run side by side. Little bit of extra momentum. Great view. Not a view we normally get in TCR Europe. One for your list, TCR Europe, to get themselves a helicopter or a drone. Drone could work, couldn't it? That'd be pretty cool. Magnus now a bit wide, and Ashken is going to slice again down the inside, and they're going to run side by side over the start and finishing line as we go into the second half of this first race. This battle is allowing Teddy Claret to have his best result so far, and we've completely ignored the fact that Daniel Nash is well ahead. Back, Luca Filippi being passed by Davidovski, and Mora getting into the tail of Filippi to push him wide. That's going to allow Julien Brichet a decent run, because the 2 of the cars in front have been held up, and Julien Brichet now looks to the outside line to make it 3 wide. Not quite sure that's going to work. He has to go around the outside, but Luca Filippi is properly boxed in here. And there's nowhere for Felipe and the Hyundai to go apart from bump drafting Mora, apart from pushing Mora along just to allow himself to go a bit faster. They all go too fast over the first chicane. Appreciate ahead of Mora. That's easy peakings, and Luca Felipe was good enough to back out of it. I don't know how race direction is going to unfold all of this. It's going to be quite a mess, to be quite honest. Magnus has dropped behind Ashkina, so that fight hasn't worked. He's going to try and do the same thing that he did one lap ago. Side by side through Ascari. Oh, a late move from Ashkina there to defend this time. They're being very good with those curbs. They need to do a Daniel Nash. They need to just forget about the fact that there's a curb there at Ascari and completely cut it. Magnus looks to the inside again. This time decides against it. Problem is, these two have lost the toe to Teddy Claret, so it's just between the two of them now. And the more they fight, the more they slow each other up, and the more they stay away from the opportunity of a runner-up position. Ashkina goes very defensive, considering we're only clicking on to lap 6. A very, very defensive Spaniard puts the Belgian on the outside line into the first chicane. Oh, Magnus still turns in though. And Ashkina takes a lot of curb, bounces the Cooper all over the place. That's going to allow the Audi a bit of a run, but he's going to be pushed on the outside of Curva Grande, has to go on the brakes. Now as the inside line, and there is a bit of rubbing. He's managed to burrow his way down the inside there. And Magnus now, though, unfortunately, on the outside line for the first part of our second chicane here at Monza. Turns in, though, has enough momentum and claims second spot. Now that Audi needs to get his head down. Needs to stay away from the threats from behind and chip away at the gap to Teddy Claret. Where was Tom Coronel in all this? He's still running, but Coronel down there in a 13th position, sadly. So behind Lewis Kent right now. Bit off the pace, but was struggling with Assetto Corsa, so didn't manage to get too much practice in. Always have to have a Tom Coronel check when you're doing a commentary. I know there are so many of you interested and desperate to know what's going on. Now look at those. I wish we could stay there on a static shot like you can in real world. You can't do it in the sim world. It doesn't really work camera-wise. But it's amazing how so many people are being so greedy with those curves, and others are being more respectful. They're being more like you would do in real life. It's a bit of a shame that the curbs aren't quite designed evil enough to stop that cutting. By the way, Daniel Nash is checking out, as he has done most race ones in this TCR Europe season. Bounces his way over the curbs. He doesn't have to worry at all, actually. He is totally in command here and miles ahead of the chasing pack. So he can chill. He's good. Here's Tom Coronel. To see the DHL colours on the Honda. And as I say, he's 13th position. Best lap is about 4 seconds off Daniel Nash's pace. But you know, he's having fun. He's touring. I'm sure you can probably find him streaming somewhere, either on YouTube or Twitch. And yeah. Hello, Tom. Nice to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. We did miss you the last time. Oh, dear. A little bit deep. Going a bit Dakar-esque on us. Jimmy Claret. Completely... Now, usually we see the two Clarets running together. They almost seem to be stuck together. But somehow, in the first lap, they got separated. And Teddy up in P2. Jimmy down in 10th position. Still managing to cut the curbs a lot. Boldish, after being binned into the wall Was that Gilles Magnus who did that? Yeah, he's now down 11th. Again, because of the damage, running really, really slowly. Over the line they come then. Nash, Claret, Magnus, Ashkana, all kind of settled down because it feels to me as though Magnus is really reeling in Claret. We may see a change for second position before the end of this race. Doing a really good job, the Belgian. Come to You they really prepared as a team well in the first couple of rounds. The first round was at Spa-Francorchamps, obviously their preferred circuit, and Gilles' preferred circuit as a Belgian. But never really saw that preparation come to much, other than Niels Langeveld. Langeveld sort of was the guy who ended up leading the field. Hello to all of you TCR Europe drivers that are perhaps sitting at a racetrack or race hotel right now, not with us this evening, but watching. Hello, please come back. We want as many cars as possible. I know that testing is perhaps in the real world slightly more fun. I can't wait to hopefully be able to join you guys at a TCR Europe race coming soon. But don't forget us on the sim world. Don't forget the virtual world. It's still good fun. Magnus has not got a lot of time left to do this. But the interesting thing is, if Teddy Claret decides to fight this, we could be inviting Ashkanar into the party for a P2. In the slipstream, Gilles Magnus. And he's now going to have the opportunity. We click onto lap 9, so 2 laps to go. Audi versus Peugeot versus Cupra. Don't feel as though Bert and Davidovsky are quite close enough, although everyone seems to have sorted themselves out, perhaps with the different levels of damage that they're all carrying. Claret going down the inside or defending from Julien Brichet. Those two have actually been running together, so I think that might be more of a defensive move rather than a pass. And they have Mora just ahead of them. All of these positions will, of course, give them a couple of points, but moreover, will set their grid position for the second race as well. Tom Coronel, I don't know whether he's come into the pits or had a crash, but either way, he's dropped to the tail of the field. And Claret and Brichet go bouncing over the curbs as we switch our attention back to the battle for second position now. Magnus versus Claret. Best showing from Teddy so far. Best showing from Gilles Magnus as well, I have to say. We've lost quite a few drivers that would be around about this area. Take as much curb as you can. Bounce over the curves. The car's rattling around, but he keeps them stable. Look in the mirror as well. Can't quite see where Ashkanar is. Perhaps not quite close enough yet. But Gilles Magnus is going to have maybe leave this to the last lap. Nash is going to go over the line now onto the last lap. And that means one more tour of Monza to get this pass done for Gilles Magnus. First opportunity, down the start-finishing lane, in the slipstream. Teddy Claret defends to the inside line, forces Gilles to go to the outside. What is Coronel doing parked there? Thankfully, the two of them miss him. And Teddy to the inside line, Gilles to the outside line. That's the kind of move that slows both of them up and will allow Michael Ashkanar to get closer. Magnus doesn't carry the momentum out of the corner. Cannot do more. Round the Curva Grande. And the second chicane, Claret to the inside, forces Gilles Magnus to the outside line. Again, they're being pretty fair here. They're sticking to the track, not unlike some of the battles we saw earlier on in the race. But Gilles looks very calm. He almost knows where he can do it. And this is not the area. Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, not really a place to pass It's so much more narrow than it looks when you're watching from the outside as well. But this is his favourite place. Good exit out of Lesmo too, under the banking and then into Ascari. That's where we've seen passing being done before. Claret goes defensive to the inside line, so that's going to force Magnus to try and sweep around the outside through the Ascari. Let's see if this works. Turns in, still side by side, has the inside line. Does he get pushed on the grass? They're still bumping and boring. They're still side by side. Good fair racing, but look at Ashkenar. Here comes the Cupra. Meanwhile, Daniel Nash is going to come across the line to pick up the checkered flag. He's done that as we run 3 wide through the final turn. Oh, there's contact, there's a spin from Teddy Claret. And is it Ashkenar who's going to pick up this second position? It looks to be so. They come across the line. And I think Gilles Magnus has done it. Looking at the timing screen. No, what? Hang on. Timing screen seems to have... Did I miss something? Ashkenar wins? Magnus second, Claret third? That can't be right. What happened to Daniel Nash? I think there must be a timing mishap. I don't think... Very different situation. Going back to the pits. But very, very odd circumstances to end that first race. We will try and find out exactly what happened to Daniel Nash, whether he'll be able to join us for the second race. See if he's on our Discord channel. He is there. But it looks as though his internet failed him the very last seconds. That is an absolute disaster. And, well, I don't put it past Daniel Nash to be able to do it again from the back of the field. I'm sure he can easily go from last to first. His pace is absolutely amazing. But I don't know why you can't see me, because I'm sending my camera. I am here, but no, very odd. Either way, you can hear me, so I'm there. I'm just a ghost. Woo! I am sending my pictures. Let me try and send again. So here are the results then. Ashkenar wins from Magnus, Nicolas Bert, Teddy Claret, Davidovsky, Filippi, Claret, Mora, Brichet, Boldish, who will be one to watch, I think. Then Lewis Kent, Khalifi. Daniel Nash ends up outside of the positions able to be reversed. So Nash will have to come from the back of the grid. And we're thinking that it may be an issue with fuel. He may have run out of fuel. Obviously, we saw him in the pits, but that may have been that he ran out of fuel and then reset back to the pits or disconnected in frustration. So it's going to be a fun second race anyway, because we're going to have a reverse grid plus Nash and Coronel at the tail of it. So I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. But we're getting some clarification on exactly what happened to Nash. Either way, I'm going to say that the results that we've just seen are preliminary, because I'm pretty sure everybody had contact. I'm pretty sure everybody jumped the track. Pretty sure lots of people did lots of naughty things. So race control will look after and have a look to see what exactly happened. And then check on all of our social channels and our website in the next couple of days to find out what the real result was, because I have a funny suspicion that we're not going to see the exact result there replicated. Either way, provisionally, Ashkina wins. And what a fantastic last couple of corners that was. So, what was it? Ashkina, Claire and Gilles Magnus. What a last couple of corners. Unfortunately, my screens completely failed me. So, I hope that I got all of the action completely correct, but I actually couldn't really see it. So that's the beauty of this kind of remote commentary world. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, sometimes you just have to kind of make it up. We're going to go running, and I have to say, it's not necessarily the fault of anybody other than me, other than my environment today. I don't really know why my environment or internet connection has changed, but it's one of those mysterious things, isn't it? I'm sure you know that from wherever you live in the world. Sometimes your internet's good and you can watch Netflix in HD. The next day, you can't. Who knows? We're going to go racing again. And here are our grid. It looks like we have Nicolas Bert on the pole position. I don't quite know why he would be on the pole position unless he... Oh, no, sorry. It's Al Khalifa on the pole position. Of course it is. In what I love that livery. That kind of purple and grey livery. Great to have that representation, and really cool to have him with us. Lewis Kent on the left-hand side, and then a couple of cars on the back, but somebody missing just as we go racing here. So somebody just disappeared. I wonder whether that was Daniel Nash going into pit lane. But either way, we are off and running. Daniel Nash is there, so all of our cars are running as we come into the first corner. Lewis Kent trying to hold on to the inside line, but Al Khalifa sweeps through and takes the lead. Ben Boldish trying to go into second, gets a bit of contact. Also Mora running wide there, and Lewis Kent gets into the slipstream and tries to find his way into the lead of this race. Everyone's going to have to be really careful, because if you do pick up damage now, you're never going to recover from it throughout the rest of the race, and you will have a lame duck to run. Down towards the second chicane. Lewis Kent sweeps around the outside and into the lead of the race. Kent has really struggled with his simulation. Has got other people all over the track further back. Boldish is up into fourth position, ahead of Claret. And there's that Filippi just behind them. Though Daniel Nash has got himself up to ninth. Coronel's followed him through. Ashkin has not made a good start. He's 11th. Magnus 12th, Mora and Davidovsky were the real losers. They're at the tail of the field now. Under the bridge for the first time. Bench Boldish looking to try and improve his position. Trying to get himself into fourth spot. And he does so. Ahead of Teddy Claret. And then Filippi just behind. And then I think behind Filippi is Nicolas Bert. Boldish providing that slipstream. Beautiful camera shot showing the Peugeot pulling up onto the bumper of Bench Boldish. Oh, he's lost his braking though. Got put off completely there. Claret all over the place and fell off the track completely. Lap one completed then. Lewis Kent, Al Khalifa, Brichet, Boldish, Filippi, Bert, Naj, Claret, Coronel, Ashkina, Magnus, Mora, Davidovsky. That's your 14 runners. and plenty more sorting out to do. Julien Brichet has shown no pace at Monza so far, and now is sitting there in third position. Boldish, Bert, Filippi, the next three, with Daniel Nash on the tail of them. And here is Filippi with Nash right behind him. But Nash going to the outside there into the next corner is going to be completely kind of bulked in. And it's going to be a real struggle to try and find a way through for him. Here's Al Khalifa, still holding on to second position. And Boldish into third. So that's a pass. And deposing Brichet down to fourth, but they run side by side into Lesmo too. Do they come out the other side? They do. Under the bridge again, and Brichet now with Nicolas Bert trying to follow behind. All of this with Bench Boldish, who probably is the fastest of the lot, in the middle of them. And Boldish trying to pick up that slipstream. Oh, it's getting so tight, even coming out of the Parabolica. Brichet on the outside. Here comes the Hyundais. Trying to make it 4 wide. That's perhaps a little unwise going into the braking zone. Something's going to have to give here. It's the rest of the field trying to brake on the same piece of tarmac. Nicolas Bert seems to have been the man who's benefited there. Bench Boldish is on the grass. Oh, ugly from Bench Boldish. But then the rest of them are trying to follow through. Nash on board behind Bert, now in fourth position after all of that sorting out. Look at Filippi behind. We're hearing that definitely a connection issue for Daniel Nash on the very last lap. How unlucky is that? Oh. Nash now looking to the inside of Nicolas Bert and getting himself up into third position. This is really a champion's drive, isn't it? Already onto the podium, and we're only a couple of laps in. Just going to try to follow through just behind there. Now, well, at least Nicolas Bert is putting up a little bit of a fight here for Daniel Nash. Onto the bumper. Into the slipstream. And finally, Bert gives him the inside line, and that's going to be a pass. Looks like Ashkin are trying to find a way through further back as well on Teddy Claret. Nash takes the position. Ooh, Luca Filippi! Contact! Filippi puts Bart into the grass. Actually, I think it's been a little bit more fair racing so far, but that wasn't at all. Bert now demoted down to 9th position. Ashkina in 5th. Ashkina sitting just behind Luca Filippi here. You'd expect Ashkina. It's interesting that Ashkina was a very strong competitor in the early days. And it's kind of, as the season has gone on, as real world has come more and more. Ashkan has kind of not necessarily had the ability perhaps to practice as much, or maybe not just practice as much on these tracks, and so faded a little bit. But as the season progresses and we lose some drivers, it's kind of elevating him back up through the field. Khalifa, by the way, you may have forgotten that a man that we've hardly ever seen score a point, at the moment, is leading this race and doing a really sterling job of it. He's got now championship leader Daniel Nash up into second position ahead of Lewis Kent. So I think his days are numbered, but he's led half the race. So pat on the back and congratulations to our Qatari friend. Oh, and Lewis Kent fancies to go back ahead and gives Daniel Nash some hassle here. Side by side through the first chicane, just to give Nash a little bit of a problem. And Kent still trying to make Daniel Nash is difficult. Oh, and that was just silly, wasn't it? Lewis Kent turning in on Daniel Nash and now decides to skip across the chicane. But all of that hassle has kept Luca Filippi and Michael Ashkana and Benj Boldish in the game. A little bit more contact between the two of them, and Kent is going to be properly put on the grass there. Sometimes you have to know when your day is done, and I'm not really sure at that moment in time Lewis really realised that perhaps defending was going to cause him more harm than just fading out, getting into behind the next car and carrying on. 1 second separates Nash from Al Khalifa. And it's Filippi, Boldish and Ashkana. And the two Clarets, Nicolas Bett, Kent, Magnus, Coronel up to 11th, Mora, Davidovsky, and one retiree who has dropped off our timing screen. And who is that that's now missing? Is that Julien Brichet, who's not on our timing screen? Did I say Brichet? I think Brichet is missing, so that's a shame to have lost another car. Look at that. Unlike race one, where we all got spread out, we are still a train of cars. On board with Michael Ashkana. Oh, so deep on the brakes. Just kept it out the bumper of the Zengo car ahead of him. And too deep, and that, if you go too hard on the brakes, if you go too deep into a corner, you end up inviting others to play in the party. Ashkana has done just that. The two Clarets now fancy a piece of the action as we switch our attention to the lead of the race. Al Khalifa needs to be sensible here. Probably knows that Daniel Nash is faster than him. Oh, and Nash just getting a little bit hot into the rear end. And look at Filippi now. Filippi fancies to play again. Daniel Nash knows that the stewards are strong. We've seen in the past, especially with Mato Omola, the stewards have really penalised any foul play. And so Nash needs to make sure that this pass and all the passes before are clean as anything. No chance for him to get penalised. So he goes to the outside line and sweeps around the outside to take the lead of the race with no hassle, no problems. Luca Filippi now wants to stay with his teammate. And Daniel Nash knows for the moment he's providing a slipstream to Al Khalifa. And Al Khalifa is going to be the faster of the cars along this straight. And perhaps through Parabolica, and perhaps down the next straight. 4 cars for the lead then. Love touring car racing, it's always so tight. Sim racing too, but doesn't the TCR series just provide every single time? Luca Filippi is in a great position here. He's got 2 cars ahead of him providing a slipstream. Daniel Nash desperately trying to shake off Al Khalifa, but I get the sense that Al Khalifa is a very sensible driver. He knows not to do anything particularly stupid, and in fact, he's just been a bit too kind there and allowed Luca Filippi the inside line. Filippi sweeps around the outside, but he's a little bit too deep on the gravel, and here comes Benj Boldish now. Boldish on the outside line. Well, this probably is going to slot in. Yes, he does. He gets himself into third. So I feel as though that was just not quite enough space there for Felipe. Luca, just an amazingly experienced driver, one of the best in GP2. Oh, but he's lost the brakes. Oh, no! No! Can't believe it! Battle for second decimated. Here comes Astronaut down the inside of Luca Felipe now. As Felipe tries to recover, he's managed to stay into third position somehow. But look at the cars behind him, queuing up to try and find a way through. Amazing action. Teddy Claret has snuck through and got himself back into second. Now, it was Teddy in race 1 who was second. And I feel like, obviously, Daniel Nash, with finishing down at the tail end of race 1, is probably not going to win the weekend here. Where's Felipe going? That's a generous out. Can't even speak English anymore. What's happened to me? Felipe, obviously, by doing that cut, has got no momentum at all and is totally sitting duck to Gilles Magnus and Michael Ashkina and Nicolas Bett. Luca Felipe now put to the outside line. Oh, and tries to get back onto track and properly binned in the wall. That is going to be horrible to drive from now on. So, sorry, Luca. Ciao. Arrivederci. Thank you very much for coming. But now at the tail of the field. Nicolas Bett defending from Jimmy Claret, trying to find a way through. Who knows what's been going on behind? We haven't really been watching, so these guys might be naughty as well, but been trying to get themselves ahead. Gilles Magnus trying to get himself back up into third position ahead of Michael Ashkina. That's worked for the moment, but of course we still have a chicane to come before we need to kind of fold into line. Magnus very deep on the brakes. Nicolas Bett in fifth, just behind the two of them. And they're still squabbling. Ashkina now on the outside line. Oh, nice. Sweeps himself back into third. So Ashkina won race 1. Is third right now. Teddy Claret is second and second. So it's all to play for those two tyres today. The fact that Daniel Nash is at the head of the field doesn't really matter. In terms of the day points, this battle that counts. And again, the slipstream making such a big difference, and Gilles Magnus right onto the tail of things, trying to go around the outside, cannot make that work. Bounce over the curbs instead. Jimmy Claret there cutting massively as he tries to keep up with this lot. Not many laps to go now. You know, you get the sense that the kind of battle like this would never be sorted. It only gets sorted by a checkered flag. If you had 100 laps, they'd still be fighting. Over the line they go. Ashkina with no slipstream, Magnus with no slipstream. Look to the cars behind to benefit. They are coming along. How about going along a straight at 160, 170 kilometers an hour and doing a little bit of tyre kissing at the same time? Okay, we're not in the real world, but it's still pretty spectacular. The racing line from the two behind. Nicolas Bett's going to be the one with the momentum here, going through Curva Grande. God, I love Monza. Isn't it so good? And if we were there for real, we could go have a pizza in the evening too. Ah, what a track to race on. Ashkina. Seriously, boys. Wanted to turn in. He was trying to turn in, but there was an Audi in the way and he couldn't turn in, so he just decided to cut instead. Can't imagine this direction. Don't know if any of our real race directors are watching now. They'll need a cold shower to calm down from all of the naughtiness that's going on this evening. Entertaining though, right? Here comes Gilles Magnus again. Big slipstream, big advance in power. Goes to the outside line, comes towards Ascari. He's got the overlap, turns in, back himself into third position. But again, all this fighting has allowed Teddy Claret to get away. Down towards the Parabolica now, and it's anybody's. Oh, Ashkina, naughty, naughty, naughty. There's one in fighting, there's another thing using a car as a weapon. There's still, look at that, they are literally squabbling over the same piece of tarmac, the same piece of road. We've got 4 cars. They're all different brands. Oh, no. More massive contact on the start-finish straight. That would be horrific if that was a real-world accident. And our front 2 competitors have been wiped out. And suddenly it's Julien Claret and Nicolas Bert that are fighting for second. I'm pretty sure that puts Teddy Claret in a winning position for those tyres tonight. Team Claret, of course, have entered 4 cars into the real world TCR. Jimmy and Teddy and Lombini and Ventager. We saw Ventager early on in the season, but he's not joined us again. It's a real supporter of the TCR Europe Series, almost from the very beginning. I seem to remember the very first time we saw a Peugeot was in their hands. They are kind of Peugeot Sport France. Don't know what's going on with Jimmy Claret's lights, why they're flashing. Not quite sure whether he's trying to distract Nicolas Bert. But either way, there perhaps is going to be 2 free Yokohama tyres in their garage come the start of the real world season when we go to Paul Ricard. Those tyres are going to melt in Paul Ricard at the height of summer. It's been, I don't know where you are in the world, but it's been hot here in Europe, and it's going to be super hot in the middle of August at Ricard. But I hope you'll be able to join us, whether it be at the track or online watching the start of the TCR Europe Series. Daniel Nash has done it again, and this time his internet has not let him down. He takes victory in race 2 here in Monza, but it's going to be Teddy Claret who wins the weekend, and Nicolas Bert is going to hold on for 3rd position. The bumper cars is over. It's Bert from Jimmy Claret, from Gilles Magnus and Benj Boldish. Al Khalifa, who led for so long, in 7th position. Luca Filippi with a damaged car in 8th position. Davidovsky 9th. Tom Coronel in 10th. Ashkenat retired. Kent retired. Mora retired as well. And Brichet we lost early doors. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest of races, but there'll be lots for the highlights editor to put together. No need for silly sound effects today. That is going to be full of pure action, and it's going to be hard to fit it in, I have to say. Well done to Daniel Nash to take that 2nd victory from last to 1st, but he's kind of said it even before the start of the race. He's got the pace to be able to do that, and he has really impressed. Nobody has got anywhere near him. What's Tom Coronel doing there? I know it's holidays time, but you can't sit in the car on the beach, Tom. Daniel Nash has been the class to field, and I know he's doing a couple of TCR races, but look forward to seeing him in TCR Europe as well. I hope to see him at that kind of performance with BRC, and Hyundai. Lovely to have such support in the TCR Europe Series from manufacturers like Peugeot Sport, Clarets, Cooper Racing, and of course support from not necessarily Honda World, but Honda as well. Look at the 2 Clarets here banging into each other as they come home. They might even be sitting in the same house. So we're going to have a chance to speak to Daniel Nash and hopefully Mikel Ashkina. Don't know whether Ashkina may have gone home by now. I know that Ashkina was he was a quick person into the pits, but let's get my studio camera back underway. Sorry, I'm going to appear in a few seconds. There I am. Hello. Magic. Right, who are we going to speak to first? Well, Daniel Nash. What on earth, if you can hear me, Daniel, happened in race 1?
Yeah, Honestly, I don't know, but I was recorded the whole race, so probably I will watch it back. I think this is really the worst thing can happen to an esport driver. I mean, I was leading the race by 11 or 12 seconds, and then suddenly, so suddenly my game is just crashed. Like it happened to me within a millisecond. I couldn't avoid it. I couldn't see it coming. So really a nightmare.
Oh, gutting for you. But an enjoyable second race, getting yourself all the way through from last to first position and a 5-second advantage by the end.
Yeah, to be honest, it was not an easy one. I was really, really frustrated. You can imagine. I was really on it, so I needed to reboot myself, my mind, and then I was just concentrating. I was trying to be really careful. To be honest, I had some really big pushes from behind, so sometimes I almost lost the car, to be honest. So it was really a scary one. But to be honest, I'm really, really, really happy to finish this race weekend on the top after what happened to me in race one.
And you look like in race 2, you were very mindful of the fact that you may not have seen it actually, but race 1 was an absolute mess fest. And race 2 was not much better. But you know that if you don't make a clean pass, race director could take that win away from you.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to be really careful. I wanted to give a clear race to the fans, to the supporters as well. It was good because I was fighting with guys who are normally a bit behind. So new faces, and always happy to see new faces around. So and it was also another changing factor that I don't know how they are going to behave for me. So I needed to experience that, and then I was trying to find the perfect gap.
Well, well done. Sad about the game. That's a bit gutting. But for us as fans, nice to see a new winner. Daniel, thank you very much. See you next time. Let's talk to Mikael Ashkinen now, because right in the thick of things all the time, Mikael.
Hello, guys. Yes, very, very happy for the win. Bad luck for Danny Nash. He was much faster than us, but yes, I finished first position on the first race. To be honest, I am very happy because starting on 8th position on the grid and finishing in the top position is quite difficult, especially if we see the races we had, because to be honest, were very difficult races, a lot of crashes, a lot of overtakes, very high level. But when I was battling with Magnus, I was thinking, okay, it's better to give the position and to try to catch Clairet and fight for the podium position. And then finally he catch to Clairet, we catch to Clairet, and when I saw him battling in the last lap, I think, okay, maybe this is the moment to attack, because on the last lap, and I saw them battling like a hell, I took the opportunity and I overtook him, and yes, luckily I won the race. I'm very happy.
Yeah, but race 2, again, you were just in the middle of all of the action. I mean, great fun, I guess, and at least you don't have to worry about your health and safety, but some crazy passes, some massive accidents.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of accidents, very difficult races because massive accidents, dangerous overtakes. But yes, I was driving on P3 on that moment, and luckily I couldn't finish the race because Nicolas Baird, he crashed me like a hell, and I couldn't do anything on the straight line. So yes, very bad luck, because I felt really, really strong on that moment, and yes, I could finish on podium position on the second race again. But yes, I feel very disappointed.
Yeah, I think a bit disappointing to miss out on those couple of free tyres. I think at the end of the day, when you count the points, I think Teddy Claret has managed to get the best of the weekend. But, you know, It's all right. The real world has opened up. You've been in the real car and done some testing?
Yeah, I'm starting testing after the COVID. And yes, this weekend I have my first race weekend. It's in Navarra, it's regional championship. And the next weekend I have the Spanish championship. So yeah, we start to drive again after a long how do you say, not driving. And yeah, I feel very motivated, and I really want to start driving like all the drivers. And yes, we start on the real life.
Yeah, roll on the real life. Thank you very much, Michael, and congratulations on your win in race one. We are very excited about real life kicking off. We still have 2 virtual world races to come for you, though. Zolder is next Monday evening in a change to the schedule. So hopefully that'll encourage some more drivers to join us next Monday. And then the final round will be, as previously announced, I think it's the 22nd of July, but it's basically two Wednesdays from now on. And then we'll have a month off to have a nice bit of a holiday, enjoy the sun, and then we'll see you for the real world TCR Europe Series resumption in Paul Ricard. Whether I'm a fan or a commentator, regardless, I'm incredibly excited for that. It's been great fun commentating and introducing you to this weekend's or this day's worth of Monza action. Keep up to date with our social media because there will be some penalties, no doubt, and we might have a different winner. But from now until next Monday, have a great time and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.